Yeah. So yeah, you can post online, you can be very social like that, or you can just go out and be in person, but obviously 2 meters apart.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about the issue in the UK. I'd just like to come on to more personally to you because are you a quarter Caribbean, is that right? Or
Yes.
half?
Um, well, it's actually kind of like I'm more like I don't know. I'm a quarter. My mum's mum is half black, and my mum's dad biologically is black. So it's kind of like, what is that mathematically, Luke? Quickly,
It's about a quarter, yeah.
about a quarter.
2/8, a
Um,
quarter, yeah.
so literally, my mum is black, my brother is black. I am literally physically white, but I'm quarter black. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so have you had many experiences in certain secondary schools, which I think we should not mention the name of,
Um,
because there's been a little bit of recent controversy around our previous secondary school with
which
the
is an entirely different. That is a massive topic that I could speak about for a long time. But I think in regards to the racial question, I have been victim to microaggressions, which, if you don't know what they are just they're racially pointed language that you wouldn't be able to say that is racist explicitly, but actually it has a toll. So an example of a microaggression towards me would be people commenting on my hair a lot, because of the texture of it, or on my black features such as my nose, and a lot of the time the way I look, people are very kind of like, you're not white but you're not black kind of thing. People are very kind of confused by my existence, and that in itself can be a microaggression.
yeah, and
um
sorry to interrupt, but I feel like the microaggression it can be occasionally quite hard to spot, but there is a lot of connotations with some of the stuff they're saying. They're
mm,
towards purposeful racist microaggression. You've got a lot of the sort of connotations of what you would say if you were flat out racist, but you're doing it
Absolutely.
sneakily. So
It's more just ignorance, not being able to decipher what is appropriate to say to someone who's different to you and what isn't. And I can speak more for maybe my cousins who are, particularly girls, who are mixed race, um, are a victim of a lot of like kind of fetishizing, people going, oh, you're beautiful for a mixed girl, or you're beautiful for a black girl. That's also a massive microaggression that you really need to just abandon if you've ever said that. But just
just leave it
speaking,
as you're beautiful. You don't need to add the rest.
yeah, you don't for like, no, thank you. Like, I think, from experience of being like a big sister to my little cousins and them coming to me and talking about the race they face, it's maybe recognize that even the microaggressions I face aren't anything compared to the girls in my family who are black, and the boys in my family who are black, which are most of my cousins. Let me think. I've got a lot of cousins. Most of them. I'm, you know, I think it's very much just embedded within our language to target people of color without even recognizing it. And I think that is something that I've been victim to because of the color of my skin, but because of my features as well, and because of my background and the fact that I'm really outspoken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a lot about sort of we've talked a bit about the sort of microaggression examples, but there's a lot of just aggression full stop. Like for example, the Whiteout Wednesday that was happening on
Oh.
Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, I could hear you. So for anybody who doesn't know, there was a sort of a it was sort of like a community unity sort of movement where we would post a black square in sort of solidarity in
Mm.
on Instagram and Twitter and hashtag it Blackout Tuesday. And a lot of people, predominantly white, I would say almost all white, responded with a why is there not a Whiteout Wednesday? And then the hashtag Whiteout Wednesday started occurring.
It's just like,
But what's really interesting is how people combated it, which was a lot of K-pop, which for anyone who doesn't know is South Korean pop music. Fan accounts called stans um, just put pictures of their favorite K-poppers to drown out the white supremacists, and only in our generation, the millennials, would you get that sort of response.
I must say, these K-pop girls and boys and gays and anyone else in between, I've just got to give you a shout out because you've done nothing but. I mean, the K-pop people, I'm not personally into K-pop, but they've done nothing but post and advocate and do the stupid spamming thing that they do with everything. And I think that is such an incredibly Gen Z way to deal with something like this.
And
And I want to give a shout out to my friend Alex, who's just been so vocal about the whole thing, about the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and she just so happens to be a K-pop stan. So, love you, Alex. Love you, K-pop stans. Thank you.
it's just
Keep going.
genius. Like,
It's just incredible. I love you guys. Please. I think, this generation of Twitter, I would have not gotten half of, in fact, any of the news that I've actually internalized and educated myself about if it weren't for Twitter and Instagram and everything. So this age and this generation, I think, are going to make a massive difference because we have been all given a platform free, to speak. And it's incredible.
I definitely agree. Now that because the internet is so popular and so accessible, we all have a way to express ourselves. And yes, that does come with some downfalls, like the
Yeah.
Whiteout Wednesday and the
But you could
supremacists.
see that as almost a blessing, I think, because I have used the unfollow button more times than I ever have in my life this week because of people who support Whiteout Wednesday. So cut those people out, call those people out who are using microaggressions, call those people out who are saying Whiteout Wednesday. I'm not being funny, love. Like, literally, white history is 11 months of the year and we have 1 month for black history. So we don't need any more whiteout, blah, blah, blah.
We've already whited out the whole of history. Let's keep some of the black in.
Is that so to GCSE history, love? I think this generation is really going to make a difference, and I think the fact that we can probably link about 100 links below this podcast of all the resources that you have online that you can protest with is incredible, and I think that's enough to commend our generation on, because we're making a massive difference just by talking about this now.
A lot of older generations, so like the boomers and that sort, who, I know, I apologize because some of my listeners may be boomers and they will really hate that phrase, but there is a common misconception that our generation and millennials don't know how to do anything. We are very much tied to our phones and quite useless. But this Black Lives Matter protest in England, I would argue, is pretty much being run on phones because we are all quarantined during the pandemic. It is pretty much, apart from the occasional sort of 2 meter distanced protest, it is all run on phones and it is all run on cyber support.
Also, just, we haven't even mentioned that Anonymous like are online and are about to expose the US government because they see this as an injustice. This is huge, and this wouldn't, wouldn't be,
I think,
without it.
As much as I would love to talk about it, I think that is very much a topic for another day. I think we could cover all of Anonymous, and that would take hours of our time. So,
I mean, me and Luke were just saying in the break that we haven't even touched the surface.
Yeah.
There are so many things you can talk about, but I think just knowing what you can do to help and where you can go to help and where you can go to learn and educate yourself is the key right now, because we are in quarantine, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and it is very stressful. So yeah.
So this podcast will hopefully be on YouTube, Spotify, maybe Apple Music if I can figure out how it works. Fingers crossed. So if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music, please go over to the YouTube and there'll be links upon links of ways you can educate yourself and make a stand for Black Lives at Home.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that is a very good natural stopping point. I'd just like to say thank you to Izzy for coming on. Do you want to plug your Twitter or something?
Well, thank you for having me. My Twitter is at Issy Swarbrick, and I'm very active on there. I'm
Very
very
active.
active.
If you want to
And
hear all
if
the
you genuinely want to DM me on any platforms, so on Instagram, I'm bellaswarbrick. Just DM me for any resources, and I have lots of outlines that you can send to your MPs, and just lots of resources that you can do research and donate to. So, yes.
and if you want to keep up to date with everything that's happened, she posts a lot.
I post a lot, but
But it's
it's
all
for a good
very
cause.
educational and in the good spirit of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you everyone at home for listening. Hope you're all well during the quarantine, and that is it for today.